Good morning, Rotary Club of Centennial.
Good morning, Madam President.
All right, will you all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge of Allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Cheryl, do you have our inspiration today?
Yes, good morning, everyone. This comes from the Dalai Lama, and he said, "There are only 2 days in the year that nothing can be done. One is called yesterday, and the other is called tomorrow. So today is the right day to love, to believe, to do, and mostly live."
Great, thank you. Please take your seats. Kent, do you have our Rotary minutes?
Yes, I do. A couple of publicity-related things that I noticed when I was on vacation. My wife and I spent a week in Washington, D.C., and one day we went to the American Museum of American History. Sorry, I probably said that double. It's part of the Smithsonian, and on the third floor of the museum, they had a display on what Americans give and why. And so I was kind of just glazing over it, and all of a sudden my wife points to something in the display, and I look, and sure enough, it's a Rotary Polio Plus hat. And there was a display next to it, and it explained why, when, how many people that we have immunized over the past 20 plus years for Polio Plus. So, you see that and you kind of swell up a little bit with pride. But it was, impressive numbers. And this is for everybody that visits the Smithsonian to see. Along with that, on Saturday evening, we stayed in Arlington. We were just about a mile south of the Pentagon. And about 3 or 4 blocks from our hotel was a sports bar. So we went to this sports bar to watch the Iowa-Penn State game Saturday evening. And as I walk in to the sports bar, what do I see but a Rotary plaque? Rotary meets there. And it was one of the Arlington clubs. They met there for breakfast at 7 o'clock on Tuesdays. Unfortunately, this was Saturday, and we were leaving Monday. So I didn't have an opportunity, even though it was just a few blocks away, to make up at that particular club. But I learned something. Now I know. Next time I'm in Arlington, Virginia, I'll know where to meet up at a Rotary Club.
Yep.
But it's important that those plaques, like ours, does everybody know where ours is?
Mm-hmm. Right on the wall.
It's in the wall, right by the bar. Well, it does for some of us. But it's important that we look and recognize those, and people do see them and they pay attention to them. So, again, that's publicity, and that's your Rotary Minute.
Great. Thank you, Kent. Now, how many times have you driven into a city and it has a Rotary plaque on there? I know I've driven to like Sedona and other places, so it's always good to recognize that. I want to thank you to everyone who helped set up today. We did not have a list go around last week, do we have a list of duties going around today? Don Bellum has been absent, so do we have any extra list? Does anyone know? No? Okay. Well, I will figure that out. So if you get an email from me, then know that you'll be asking to have a duty next week.
Next week is chat.
Oh, yeah, chat groups, but for the week after. But thank you for everyone who was here setting up. John, of course, you've been gone, but I can't tell you how many people came up to me and said,
Thank God he's not here.
the exact opposite. Oh my God, he's not here. So if you get a chance, just thank John for all that he does.
Thank you, John.
He's,
you all well. Thank you.
and you know what he does? He's in his RV and he gets into camp and then he starts going on the website and changing things and doing all of that. So even when he wasn't here, he was hard at work volunteering. So that's right. So just thank him when you get a chance because he does quite a bit for this club. And then everyone else who was here, I know David Livingston was, John McCarty, you guys set up, just thank you. And then Cheryl, thank you for taking the inspiration, and for everyone else who is helping take down, etc. Thank you. Do we have any visiting Rotarians today? I don't think so. And we have our speaker as our guest, which we will introduce her later. So, but if you talk with her, be sure to welcome her, of course. We have a few birthdays. We have Jessica Seidner on the 25th, and we have Diane Zing on the 26th. So if you see either of them, talk to them, or you want to harass them on social media, you do not have my permission for harassment, but you can say happy birthday. We have no spouse birthdays or wedding anniversaries. We have quite a bit of club business to go through. Mark has an update from Cheryl from Lebanon. If you will please let us know about that.
I received this text this morning. I don't know if you've been following the news in Lebanon. Demonstrations broke out on Thursday night and have intensified to the point they are calling it a national revolution. On account of heavy taxation, hundreds of thousands of people have taken to the streets. Kids Around the World, which is the name of the organization she's working with to build playgrounds, Kids Around the World had to cancel the trip for safety reasons. I left Beirut this morning. I'm at Heathrow Airport waiting for departure in 2 hours. We'll be home tonight. And she sent this stunning picture, which I'll send to Don to put in the newsletter. And so anyway, I told her our thoughts and prayers are with her and the people of Lebanon.
Yes. Thank you, Mark. Yeah, so keep her in your thoughts, that she continues to be safe, and all the people that she met and was doing the project with get home safely as well. Now, on your table, except for this one here, we have little pumpkin buckets. Now, pumpkin buckets are for our lovely polio pigs. They like to be emptied out into those buckets. So today, for those who did not remember, I will bring these back the first Tuesday of November, and I might even be, kind enough to send out a reminder about them. But you never know. So put it down that if you did not bring them today, you can bring them on our next meeting, the first Tuesday in November. I will have these. So now remember, this goes to the Polio Plus Fund. This is our fundraiser for the year. We will collect them again one more time before the end of the year, but we only do it once or twice a year. So, and if you don't have a polio pig, which is like this, I have my name on it, just let us know and we will get one for you. Okay? Anne, since you just took a bite, do you want to talk about Meals on Wheels? Sorry, I was cunning like that.
Good morning. Thank you. Do I do the
Both of them.
do you want me to do the whole thing so I don't ever have to stand up again?
Sure.
All right. Okay. Let's start with Meals on Wheels. I returned, and thank you so much for my faithful folks that did sign up, but we have concerns because on the 1st of November, Karen Fleck is going to go up by herself. Now, she's quite capable of doing that, but she likes having company, okay? And then on the 8th, John Holtzman is also going out, and he likes to talk with you, so join him. And then toward the end of the month, we have Doug Hanna, who likes company also. And then Karen had tried to sign up for the 29th, discovered it was the day after Thanksgiving, and she's going somewhere. She's got family somewhere. So the Thanksgiving is wide open. So please, if you are... Okay, well, Mary Alice, who can always be depended upon to go, is doing it on the 1st. Thank you so much for that. Pardon me. The one thing that my project for the week is to get ready for our social on Saturday. During our visitation, both Mary Alice and I thought, they didn't say anything about social, but when we had it on a regular basis, everybody enjoyed it. So Karen Barry and Mary Alice, and I know Scott was in on it, got together, and we have scheduled a number of social events during the year. And I had done this cemetery tour of Fairmont several years ago, and I thought, that was good. So we're going to do it again on the 26th. It's at 10 o'clock. Sorry, Don, a little later than we expected. But at this point, we have about 8 people going, and that's great. But if you want a walk in the park, because that's what Fairmont's like, and it's going to be warm, it's going to be in the upper 60s, come along with us. I need to know how many, because I'm making up a sheet on the various graves you can visit. And last but not least, I have 2 travel gifts. I was in Minnesota from the 3rd, or the 5th, whichever, of this month. And I was in northern Minnesota on the North Shore. Have you been to Lake Superior? This will look familiar. I didn't really see an actual moose, but this was pointed out. And this is good for, buy it for your kids at the auction, for your grandkids. And then, oh shoot, it's all wrapped up. Believe me when you see this stein. I've got a fairly small stein, not a big one, but this is from Nymphenburg Castle on the outskirts of Munich. And I returned yesterday after a 10-hour flight, nonstop. Good place to go, Munich, but it's a long flight. So that's going to be the travel gift from us.
Perfect. Great, thank you, Ann. And we also have Andrea Tactile here from our Satellite Club. She's here representing not only our Satellite Club, but KATA for our KATA Thanksgiving. You want to give us a little introduction to that? And
good morning, everyone. It's nice to see a lot of you for the first time in a while, so thank you for having me in this morning. The annual KATA Thanksgiving dinner is right around the corner. So for those of you who have been participating for years, this is old news for you. Anybody who might not know, the Rotarians every year, I think this is maybe our 5th year doing this, where the Rotarians will provide different homemade dishes for a KATA Thanksgiving meal for our kids. Sometimes this is the first Thanksgiving holiday they've ever celebrated. So we invite all of our kids, their foster parents, their KATA volunteers. Sometimes they're with relatives. We invite them all in, have a nice Thanksgiving meal together a couple weeks before Thanksgiving. So a couple of things that are new this year. In the past, we have done it at our office on a Wednesday or Thursday evening. We are not going to do that this year. We're going off-site to allow for more participants and just a better setup. For those of you who have been there the last couple of years, it's a little chaotic in that basement, and we just need more room. So I don't know the address off the top of my head, but it is in a Sign Up Genius link. It's right over off of like Chambers and something. I don't know. It's in Aurora. Somewhere. Yeah. On Saturday, November 9th. So we are also, the Thanksgiving meal is going to be following a little fall fest that we're hosting. So from 11:30 to 1 on Saturday, November 9th, the kids are going to come with their volunteers or their foster parents or whoever, and they're going to do games and activities and have fun. And then from 1 to 2, we're going to do the Thanksgiving lunch. So I will make sure that the Sign Up Genius link gets sent around. It has all the information on the location. As we've done in years past, we'll do an option to have a drop off at Embassy Suites that day, or you can bring it directly to the church that we're going to be using their auditorium. Am I forgetting anything about that? That is on the website. Yep, Saturday, November 9th. And thank you guys so much for continuing to make this event happen. We only do it because we have the support of this club, and it is one of our best events of the year. So thank you for making that happen. It would not be happening without you. Yes?
Are you going to send out a sign up as to what we're going to
Yes.
bring, so we all don't bring
Absolutely.
hamburger sauce?
Yep. And we've got the same spiel as in years past. I think maybe the first couple of years we did it, we had a ton of variety of dishes. And then we kind of figured out, actually, let's do quantity of just, 5 or 6 different dishes. We're doing that again this year. So I will make sure that that gets out. Let me know if you have any questions, if I can help with anything. I don't know which one of our staff will be doing the pickup here at Embassy Suites. It might be me, but I will make sure to be communicating with whoever signs up to help provide food that you know who you're looking for and when you're looking for them and all of that. So thank you very much. I hope that being on a Saturday maybe works better for our kids and families. I hope that that's okay with you all. If you have any questions or concerns, or you wanted to maybe hook up with me earlier in the week to get me whatever food you were bringing, we can totally talk about that. I'm happy to figure out and be flexible and do whatever. Yes. Yes and no. Yeah. It's probably encouraged not to, but if you have an older child, let's talk about it. Any Rotarians that do come to serve the meal will have you sign a confidentiality agreement. Like you guys know, our kids are from Arapahoe, Douglas, Elbert, and Lincoln counties. It would not be surprising if you actually recognized one of our kids there. So that's why we tend to say no on kids, just because we don't want that to be uncomfortable if it's their classmate that is all of a sudden at KATA. But I'm really happy to make exceptions and talk about whether or not it might be a good fit. Yeah, good call. Thank you. Good idea. Yes. Yes, we have a couple of things. I don't know if you see in your little newsletter, we had a really fun event on Saturday for a different KATA agency. So it was a different Denver KATA who one of our satellite Rotarians used to work for, or one of our older satellite Rotarians used to work for Denver KATA, but that was fun. We hosted their Halloween party. We have the magic wheelchair, that really crazy wheelchair fire truck costume situation. There's a build this Sunday that I think at least Dave from the Satellite Club is planning on attending. I'm not sure if anybody else at this moment knows if they're going on Sunday or not, but you're all welcome to join. And then we've got a Canvas and Mocktails that's set for December also, so you'll be seeing that date soon. If anybody would like to join us, we're back at the Inn. Yeah, this will probably be our I don't know, maybe our 10th canvas and mocktails or something. So it's down to a science now. But that's, I think, the second week of December. So that's what we got going on. And a meeting at Sarah's house on November 20th, if anybody would like to join.
And notice on your bulletin, we're now adding Satellite Club information on there. So if anyone is interested, please contact Roxy. You want to explain a little more on that?
For all of the items that are listed in the activities sections, like the service project, etc. Sorry. For all the items that are listed in the bulletin, that are the different activities, service projects, satellite activities, prime timer activities, this is just to tell you the date and the activity. If you go to the website, as much as possible, I've tried to put all of these on the website with the contact person and, if possible, the time and address so that you can show up. Oh, the person responsible is responsible also for any sign-up sheets or anything like that.
Right.
I am not proficient on the website for the sign-up thing.
And just, if you haven't kind of figured out, we are also trying to get away from calling our satellite club the Millennial Club for a lot of different reasons, but it really limits the feeling of participation as far as if anyone else wants to join the club that aren't in the millennials, they may feel a little uncomfortable joining. Also for less separatism going on, we want to make it much more inclusive. So we are trying to get rid of millennials and just saying it's the Centennial Rotary Satellite Club, Evening Satellite Club. And I think that will help bring in new members that, maybe that's a better fit for them than what's in the morning club. So we want to make sure that that's open to everybody and not just a set group of people. Also, kind of moving on, thank you, Andrea. Really appreciate you speaking about KATA. I know a lot of people of us have participated in that. It's always been a lot of fun. I know we also have a food drive coming up. Is that correct, Karen? Do we need any sign-ups? Are we good?
Last time I checked, we had a couple of openings, so just
Okay.
go to the website and see.
Okay, so maybe we should send out an email with that sign-up. November 2nd?
Karen?
It is, okay.
Is that IFCS?
I'm sorry, what?
Is that IFCS you're talking about?
Yes, IFCS food drive.
Two slots available
Okay.
from 11 to 12.
Okay.
And that's all.
So 2 spots available from 11 to 12. So please go online, and I might send something out to you all so you don't forget. I know I do if there's not a sign-up sheet here, so if I forget, I'm sure other people do too. Trip,
Just go to the calendar and
click, right.
sign up.
Right after you're finished at the food drive, travel across town to my house for the chili cook-off. Saturday afternoon, November 2nd. We're going to have chili, got plenty of beer, and other drinks, but there'll be plenty of beer. And please let me know if you're going to bring chili. If you saw that big double email that I sent out, there's like an entry form and stuff like that. Please let me know if you're going to be there, and please let me know if you're going to bring chili. Thanks to the folks that have let me know either way, which is obviously a real thing. But I'd love to get an RSVP and a promise of chili. It's afternoon, 2 to 6.
Is this a contest?
It's a full-on contest. Celebrity guest judges, no classification, vegetarian, buffalo, meatless, meat, double meat, extra meat, chocolate. Ann tells me there's such a thing as chocolate chili. Jay's bringing chili chow mein, I think he said. So there's no classification. Please scare the hell out of us. Thanks.
Thank you, Trip. As always, unfortunately, Nana and I will not be able to attend. Otherwise, let me tell you, the gauntlet would be thrown, and my pumpkin chili would be there. But I won't be able to make it. But I know it's going to be awesome. So be sure to attend if you can. And also on your tables, you'll see. So after the lovely discussion last week and having some decisions made of kind of deciding to regroup and restructure for the Thanks and Giving fundraiser and seeing about that for next year. We are still having our holiday party. We decided to go ahead and take the $300 that we had put for the Heritage Eagle Bend. They decided we can just go ahead and use Heritage Eagle Bend on a different date for our holiday party. So we decided to go ahead and do that. That way no one has to get their home ready. Hopefully it's less stress on a lot of people. We do have to pay, though, for the buffet. So it's $35 per person. It's December 19th. It is a Thursday. Dinner starts at 6:30, so you have information on there. We will still be having the auction. I know Deb and I still have to get together to just talk about that and see how we're going to do that. But I really want to recognize everyone on the committee for the Thanksgiving fundraising. Deb and Gordon, Tripp, John McCarty, and Tim. Really appreciate you guys for everything that you did, and you have just my admiration of everything that you guys did. I really appreciate it, and no, it's not lost on me or the rest of the club. You guys did fabulous. We're just going to regroup and see how we can make it a bigger and even more cohesive thing moving forward, okay? So with that, keep that in mind. We'll have more information for you on the next time that we meet, which leads me to our chat groups, which are next week. So we are not meeting here at Embassy Suites next week. Now, does everyone know what chat group they're supposed to be in? Ooh. Scott?
So I don't know, John Bellm's been gone the past couple weeks, so he had told me he would take on one, and I'm assuming that means he doesn't. So I would love to welcome you to our chat group, the most fun of them all. I will send you guys all an email later today.
And that's how we do it. Thank you, Scott. So remember, we will not be meeting here next week. I will send out a reminder. And with that, do we have any other? Yes, Deb.
I've got 3 quick things. First of all, do people still want to go to an Avalanche game? Raise your hands. Okay. Well, thank you. Why don't I just stand back here so I don't have little people screaming at me? So there's couldn't be one in February and one in March. Do you want me just to go ahead and select whatever Will thinks is the best? Because they're slated to go all the way this year. Ooh. So we really could have some good games. And so I'll do that. I'll get more information out about that, because if we get at least 10 people there, then we can start, they will give back to us for as many people as we can get there in a block. So I'll get on that. Anybody interested in bell ringing for the Salvation Army down at King Soopers, Arapahoe and Parker? It really is a lot of fun. Last year, Gordon and I took our guitars and we played and sang Christmas carols. So anybody interested in that? Okay, so I'll put out some times and dates. Normally we're at the King Soopers there where they collect for the food, there at Arapahoe and Parker. And so it's different times all the way through the Christmas season. Third, I wanted to mention that at the Keller Williams office, which I'm at in the tech center, we've got 525 agents, and we throw one heck of a Halloween party. It's from 4 until 7 on Monday, and kids can come. All the agents dress up. We have candy galore out the yin-yang. We decorate the whole basement as a haunted house, and it is really a hoot. And one of the most fun things that happens is a whole bunch of agents dress up and they dance to Thriller. So we really, over the years, I think we've gotten in the neighborhood of about 3,500 people there. So it's really a safe place to bring your grandkids, your kids. If anybody's interested, I'll get you the address. But it really is pretty spectacular.
Great. Thank you, Deb. Mary Alice, did you have something?
I just want to call your attention to the sheet, the sign up for the Classic Christmas Holiday at the Parker Pace, which is on December the 8th in the afternoon. So this will be the last chance you'll have to sign up. I have to turn in our reservations by the 6th of November, the 5th of November. So if you want to go, be sure you sign up, or else give me a call and let me know.
Okay. Any? Right. Do we have any other business? Anyone has announcement? Yeah, I'm asking for business. Nope. Okay, travel gifts. Did you have one? Yeah. Right.
Gordon, I apologize. I don't. So I've been gone for a month, and that's a good thing for you guys. But we went through a lot of different states. We traveled from Denver out to Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island and back in our motorhome. So our first major stop was Watkins Glen, New York. And that's famous for all the upstate New York wineries around there. So we bought some wine, but 30 days in a motorhome, it's gone. So then we went into Vermont, and we stopped at a town called Waterbury. Anybody know what Waterbury is famous for?
Maple syrup.
What?
Maple syrup.
No. Waterbury, Vermont. Any of you eat ice cream? Ben and Jerry's. So
Let me guess. Ice cream's gone.
you're right. It was gone by Nova Scotia. So then we decided, well, we've heard about another good place to visit, and anybody in here, you bakers, know of King Arthur flour. Okay? And is it good flour? Yeah. Well, they have their campus right across the river from Dartmouth College in Hanover, Vermont, and basically it's everything that Starbucks ever wished it could be in terms of a company store and coffee and baked goods, and it was incredible. So this did survive.
Drum roll anyway.
All right. So for all you bakers out there, this is a King Arthur flour chocolate raspberry layer cake kit. Okay? And then because I thought that maybe I'd be criticized if I didn't get you enough, I also got you a King Arthur kitchen towel.
Thank you, John. Do we have any other travel gifts? Karen?
Yes, I actually didn't go very far this week, but I went up to Boulder to the tea factory, the Celestial Seasonings. So I got this little bag and some little tea that you might not be able to get in the store. And then yesterday, I went to the Monet exhibit at the Denver Art Museum, and I bought this painting, which is in the form of a scarf. It's quite lovely. And then several paintings in the form of a little calendar, which have Monet paintings on it. So that's as far as I got.
Thank you, Karen. Do we have any more travel gifts?
I'm remiss. I missed one thing.
Oh.
We stopped in Bar Harbor and got some lobsters, but all of a sudden, all that there was left was their little handcuffs. They escaped and got away. So I'm sorry about that. That didn't happen either.
All right, so Happy Bucks. Scott is going to be doing our Happy Bucks today.
So I'm going to start us off. If you've been here the past few weeks, you know that I really like the Minnesota Vikings, and they looked great on Sunday. We got another win, so that's my Happy Buck. What about at this table? We're all depressed from the other game on Thursday, even with Mahomes hurt. Yeah. Doug, looks like you got some.
I have $2, one for our guest, and the other is I'm just happy to be here.
All right, over at this table, who's feeling happy? Here we go. More depression?
More depression.
I have $1. First, an apology for not getting your bulletin here very fast this morning. I got a I got a text from Cheryl Sartain. There's extreme unrest in Beirut, and she's on her way home. So I'll be picking her up tonight. So sad news for the Kids Around the World project.
So I have two. For those of you who have been curious about when my mom is ever going to come back to Rotary, there is hope. Yesterday we got really good news that her infection is still all clear, and she's set to get her knee back on November 5th. So we're on the upswing. So a little bit of recovery there, and then she'll be back. My other is a half sad, half happy. Unfortunately, Samantha's volleyball team was up 2-0 in the state tournament, and it's a best 3 of 5, and then they blew the last 3, so 1 and done. But Ashley, in the middle of freezing rain, set another PR, and so she is off to state on cross country. So I'm still on the upswing here.
All right, over at this table, Trip.
That's mainly for Sherry has a birthday next week, but I did hear that unrest in Lebanon was almost all due to us canceling the Thanksgiving. So.
I have $1. As you may have heard, we went to Germany because Katya, who was adopted at age 8 and didn't think she had any siblings, was able to meet her sibling, her only remaining sibling, and she and Tatiana had quite a time together. It was almost like having teenagers in the back of the car with the giggling. But that's why I have a happy buck, because we're happy about that.
Have a happy buck to welcome back John, and the fact that we kept in touch with through text that he I think sent 465 texts to Deborah letting her know what he was doing and what he was eating.
This is for Andrea and the Satellite Club. So great to see all those great projects you're doing, and hopefully we can do more with you guys.
a happy buck. I'm glad to be back. Seeing as how Sunday night driving on I-76, first we went by Ovid, Colorado, and we all know in here who's from Ovid, Colorado, so we had to say hello there. That's Karen Fleck, by the way. And then the winds came up, and we ended up with the motorhome in the parking lot of the Love's gas station in Brush overnight because of 50-mile-an-hour winds. So I'm awful glad to be here.
This is a happy buck. Just looking at the back page of the bulletin, this represents Centennial Rotary.
I have a happy buck. It's good to see all you fine folks again. I've been gone for a while, but I had a nice conversation with Tim about the time that he lived in Maine, and I was on tour, guiding a tour back in Maine, in Portland, and so I just wanted to mention that I did take a small group from my tour over to a restaurant in Portland, Maine. And we went in, and it had a lot of history behind it. It actually used to be quite a bar, and it had ladies that entertained the bar patrons there. And the name of the restaurant was called $3 Dewey's. And I inquired about why was it called $3 Dewey's, and they said, very simple to explain. It was $1 looky, $2 touchy, $3 Dewey. And that's how it got its name, so just reminded me.
Over there. And then Deb.
I've got a happy dollar that John is back okay. It was really quite entertaining to exchange texts with him throughout his trip, and he was ever so generous to, when he had service, to set up for the sign up for the Thanksgiving. So I wanted to thank him very much for that while he was gone. But if you ever just need a good-hearted belly laugh, just text John. He sends some of the most incredible things back, and you just want to just laugh. And also, the little pictures that go along with it. Now, there were several times when I asked if he missed me. And so one of the first times we were texting, he says, well, let me check my itinerary. No, not today.
Did I miss anybody? Yep.
Be an IOU, but just happy to have Jean here with us as our guest speaker.
All right, and I have 5 because I am a new auntie as of 2 days ago. My sister-in-law had a little boy in Ghana, and so I've never met my sister-in-law, so I haven't met my nephew. Probably won't for at least a little while. And his name, he doesn't get his name for 3 to 6 months, so I don't even know what he's called. So, but $5 for that because I'm excited. That's good news for our family. All right, so we now have our speaker. Tom, did you? Oh, yes, I did forget one thing. So we do have some cards for Tom Buck. So Tom Buck has been part of this club for a long time, and he has decided to withdraw his membership for personal reasons. But we have a card, actually 2 cards that we're going to send around just to thank him for his time here and how much he will be missed. But that we are so grateful for everything that he did in our Rotary Club, and that he's always welcome to come back and visit when he has a chance. So thank you, Cheryl, for reminding me. So Tom Buck. So, okay, Tom.
Good morning. So our speaker, Jean, I got to meet her family, started to meet her family back in, 2014, I believe, and had the pleasure of working with her family, her daughters, Whitney and Allison, and with Jean herself. And in the process of working with them, I learned about the family and the KATA Foundation, and which is an amazing foundation. And several years ago, we went to our first Hoot and Holler event, which is their annual fundraiser coming up this year in November. And we were just blown away by the organization and the passion of the people involved with this. And Jean's going to share with you what it's all about and what they're raising money for and fighting Fanconi anemia. But the Hoot and Holler event is awesome. The thing I learned about the KATA Foundation is this is Centennial-based grassroots organization. And when you're there at the event, you just feel the passion, compassion, and the love in that room. It's an amazing group of people, very special group of people. And at the heart of KATA Foundation, as a co-founder, is a very special woman who's here to speak with us today and share with us about the KATA Foundation. So glad you're here. Introduce and welcome Jean Atkinson.
This will only take a couple hours. I'm honored by the privilege to be here. I'm not a public speaker, so you'll have to bear with me, I'm sure, at times. I think it's always good to put a face with the disease, so I have a short video that you're going to see a lot of Fanconi anemia faces. It's probably a disease that most of you have never heard of. It is a rare genetic disease. It is a disease that 2 of our 4 children had, and you just start it up. You're going to learn a little bit about it. So I hope you can get a flavor of what Fanconi anemia looks like in the individuals who have the disease. As you can see, some are more heavily impacted physically than others. It is a complex disease. It requires an immense amount of psychological focus by the families. It's a disease that you would never want to have your child born with. Someone once told me, I will not likely remember a person's name, but I will remember their story. This is one family's Fanconi anemia story. In the fall of 1990, our family was living the dream. My husband, Ken, had a thriving medical practice in South Denver, and we had 4 wonderful children, Allison, Whitney, Kendall, and Taylor. Add in our dog, our home, our church, our friends, and extended family, and life was indeed good. In September of that year, our 7-year-old daughter, Kendall, was to have a minor revision surgery on her hand. She had been born with a non-functioning thumb on her right hand. In the picture, the little girl in the pink dress had her hand up here. I don't know if you noticed, but it had 4 digits. And the next picture was her in her teens. You could see their hands a little better. At 9 months old, her non-functioning thumb had been removed and her index finger dissected out and moved into the position of her thumb. In the years to come, that hand was her favorite body part. She was forever photocopying, drawing pictures of it, and taking pictures of it. The surgery was to be a simple one. Her blood was routinely drawn prior to the surgery. There must have been a lab error, so the doctor said. We'll have to redo the testing. But the second test came back the same. We were discharged from the hospital immediately with instructions to quickly return to Denver and seek out a hematologist ASAP. Within hours of our flight landing, we were told that Kendall likely had a blood disease called Fanconi anemia. And I say blood disease, at that time it was believed to be a blood disease. You may have noticed in the video, it's actually been found now to be a DNA repair disease, which makes the reason for the reason that so many cancers are found in it. There must, because 3-year-old Taylor had the same thumb anomaly as Kendall, we knew in our hearts that he was also affected, though the formal diagnosis wasn't confirmed until 10 days later. How quickly life can change. Their diagnosis was an agonizing blow which led to a whirlwind of uncertainty, information gathering, and decision making. We were told that without a bone marrow transplant, Kendall and Taylor would not likely live to adulthood. At the time, the problem with a bone marrow transplant for Fanconi anemia was that not many FA patients had survived transplant. Our best hope would be to use a matched sibling donor, but neither of their older sisters, Whitney and Allison, were a match. And there was no match on the National Marrow Donor Registry. So the following spring, with the help of friends, we held bone marrow drives to find a suitable donor. The people of Denver came out en masse, hoping to be a match to save the lives of 2 children. In 2 days, 5,000 people were tested and entered into the national donor base. No match was found for Kendall and Taylor. Some of you here may remember that, and it's possible some of you were even tested during those drives. We would have to wait for research to improve the success rates of unrelated FA transplants, while hoping and praying for a donor that would save their lives. We wrote on the chalkboard in our kitchen, "Watch God work." In the ensuing years, we determined that we would live our best lives as a family. We would not be defined by Fanconi anemia. Kendall and Taylor were monitored closely with routine blood draws and bone marrow biopsies. We prayed for healing. We prayed for a donor. We prayed with hope. A year after their diagnosis, their blood counts fell even further. There was still no acceptable donor on the registry. Ken and I made the decision to put them on a medication that had the potential to sustain their blood counts by stimulating the production of cells in their marrow. We were told that only some patients respond to it and that eventually the drug would lose its effectiveness. That even on the drug, they would likely not live to adulthood. And there were side effects, and some transplant doctors speculated that the drug could have negative implications for an FA patient's transplant outcome down the road. But it was all we had. Thankfully, the medication sustained their blood counts for many years. The anguish of dealing with the side effects of the drug that was keeping her alive became Kendall's greatest challenge as a teen. The psychological and physical impact was devastating. Despite this, in all her 20 years, Kendall proved a formidable foe to the effects of Fanconi anemia. Lacking the red blood cells that any typical person would need to play competitive sports or to ski giant moguls in the high altitude of Colorado, she played and skied anyway. Whether it was rollerblading in the dark or downhill skiing over picnic tables, she stretched the boundaries of life and made us all envious and terrified of her spirit of adventure. When finally, in her sophomore year of college, her blood counts dropped to the point that she was getting sick more often and needed treatment and needed frequent transfusions, Kendall made the difficult and courageous decision to leave college and go to transplant. There was still no perfect bone marrow match on any national and international registry. But in the years since her diagnosis, research had drastically improved the odds of surviving transplant with a mismatched unrelated donor. Kendall had an ability to tolerate physical pain that put us all to shame. Brave does not even begin to describe how she endured the medical maze of procedures brought on by Fanconi anemia, the most daunting of which was her bone marrow transplant. 5 days after her transplant, she was put on a ventilator. Tragically, the transplant protocol proved too toxic, and she died 21 days after being transplanted. Our family was devastated. We would never gather the same way again without her. And then there was Taylor, now 17, whose blood counts were steadily declining. The physical and neurologic side effects of FA on Taylor were far more profound than they were for Kendall. Taylor, our fourth child and firstborn son, brought the unexpected to our lives. Don't we all pray for that healthy, perfect baby? When measured by the world standards, Taylor didn't come to us with much. He was very small in stature and not of great intellect. He would never go to college, never throw a touchdown pass, never win a debate, or be an accomplished musician. In fact, he would never even ride a bike or drive a car. And yet God in his infinite wisdom and love gave us Taylor, the perfect son. Taylor filled our hearts and completed our family in ways we would never have thought possible. Whether he was downhill skiing, burning marshmallows around a campfire, tubing on a lake, going to school, setting off fireworks, playing basketball, dancing at prom, going to youth group, driving a four-wheeler, or hanging out with his friends and sisters, Taylor loved life. People were his greatest earthly treasures. Throughout his life, with all his physical and mental challenges, multiple surgeries to fix hands, legs, kidneys, and a myriad of medical procedures, Taylor's resilience amazed and shamed us. It was nothing for him to be in the hospital throwing up blood for hours, only to be discharged late the same day in time to go to his youth group party. I think his fifth grade teacher got it right when she tearfully gave him the year-end award, Most Inspirational. Now transfusion dependent, Taylor continued to press on and enjoy every minute of his junior year in high school, despite the interruptions caused by necessary medical interventions for spontaneous bleeding, infections, etc. In May 2005, just 14 months after Kendall's death, we left home and headed to transplant once again. Taylor tolerated the rigors of transplant amazingly well and was discharged after 32 days. Hooray. Tragically, at 106 days post-transplant, and still in New York at Memorial Sloan Kettering Hospital, Taylor presented with graft versus host disease, in which the donor cells were attacking his own cells. This turn would eventually prove devastating. After a long, painful, and hard-fought battle by both our dear Taylor and the extraordinary medical team, Taylor died 9 months after his heart transplant. Heartbroken does not even begin to describe how our family felt. Before I left for New York with Taylor, I said to a friend, if I don't come back with him alive, if I have to bury another child, I don't know how I will ever get out of bed again. But by the grace of God, struggling for sure, but believing in a sovereign and good God as our hope, we all did finally get out of bed, and in the ensuing months, with a strong desire to honor Kendall and Taylor, by seeking a cure for the horrible disease that had taken their lives, Ken and I enlisted the support of our community and established the Kendall and Taylor Atkinson Foundation, aka KATA. The primary mission of KATA is to raise funds to support research towards the development of a cure and effective treatments for Fanconi anemia and its related side effects, including the cancers so prevalent in those who have FA. To date, KATA has funded over $2 million in FA research. FA research is not only helping kids with FA to live longer, it is also helping many in the general population as well. The use of unrelated umbilical cord blood as a source of stem cells began with FA research. Now tens of thousands of transplants using unrelated cord blood have been performed to treat a variety of diseases. Fanconi anemia research led to a new, milder transplant therapy most commonly used in adults who cannot tolerate high doses of chemotherapy for leukemia, lymphoma, and multiple myeloma. Research in Fanconi anemia is also used in the study of head and neck and other cancers, and many scientists study the role of FA genes in hereditary breast cancer and ovarian cancer. In addition to KATA's funding of FA research, with the desire to reflect the lives and hearts of Kendall and Taylor, KATA designates a limited amount of its funding for projects that enhance the lives of children and young adults with financial or special needs. Over $400,000 has been given to this end. Some examples of the things funded include scholarships and equipment for kids to participate in the handicapped ski programs at Winter Park and Children's Hospital. Funds were given for playground equipment for an all-inclusive playground that is to be built, I believe broke ground in September, in the Stapleton development, where all children, regardless of their disability, will have access to all playground equipment. A van and garage were provided for an orphanage in Uganda. 2 handicap-equipped cabins were built at Camp Barnabas, a camp for special needs children. Funding was provided for FA families to attend Camp Sunshine for education, networking, and respite. In 2016, KATA's co-founder and president, Dr. Ken Atkinson, was gunned down and died. Our next-door neighbor had shot his wife in the back as she ran from their house. Ken, home for a quick 20-minute lunch, heard the gunfire and went out of the house to give her medical aid. The young woman's husband chased after Ken and killed him. It has been the privilege of KATA to designate with its secondary special project funding in the past 2 years to the Kenneth R. Atkinson Endowed Memorial Scholarship held at the University of Colorado Medical School, which was established by some of his colleagues. Each year, a monetary award is given to a financially needy student who is pursuing a care in primary care medicine and who plans to work in an underserved area. And where does KATA get the money for all this research and special projects funding? Well, come on out to Bravehearts Hoot and Holler, and you'll find out. Hoot and Holler is our annual Western-themed fundraiser that is coming up on November 9th. It's casual, fast-paced, and fun. Our motto is have fun while fundraising. And if you're a golfer, you can check our website in April to sign up for the annual Art House Scramble for KATA. If you could ask Ken about the tournament, he would tell you that you barely need to know how to play golf to play in the tournament and have fun. He hoped every year just to have one shot that a foursome could use of his. All of this is on our website at www.katafoundation.org. And I appreciate the opportunity to be here and speak to you. I have a couple of flyers that I'd like to just pass out that explain more about Fanconi anemia and more about KATA's mission and how your money is spent there. We are an all-volunteer organization, pretty much. We have our board is consisted of 8 people, none of whom are paid. When somebody recently, we wanted a photographer for Hoot and Holler, and someone was trying to find one for us, and we were asked, well, how much, what's your budget for it? And we just say we usually don't pay anything for anything. So, and with that having been said, I also have some invitations that I'll pass around to Hoot and Holler, and I know in the vein of having much generosity toward the organization and having so much free, you're going to look at the invitation. Somebody the other day opened it and said, wow, some bucks were spent on these. But we have been blessed by the Cottrell family at Cottrell's Printing, and so on the back of the invitation it says, all invitation materials were donated by Cottrell Printing. So they donate thousands of dollars a year in print materials for KATA. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
You said your daughter was diagnosed with
And here, one of each of those.
What were the results that indicated a problem there?
Well, she had low white count, and she had low hemoglobin. Those were the primary. She had low platelets. So
all blood factors.
All blood factors. So what happens is that in Fanconi anemia, is the marrow just stops producing blood cells, and kids gradually, their counts. That having been said, normal platelet counts, I believe, are could have changed by now, but 150 to 400,000, and Taylor, hovered at 6,000 without having major bleeds. It's incredible how your body will adjust when the decline is gradual. Normal hemoglobin is, 38 and up. Hematic, right, you're right. And, Kendall's, when she was skiing and doing all competitive sports, were routinely in the lower 20s. And if you and I woke up tomorrow with that kind of hematocrit, you'd have trouble getting out of bed.
The other question is, what kind of genetic counseling do you do?
Well, that's an interesting question. And of course, I'm sure you're thinking, well, your husband was a doctor, didn't he? Kendall was born, and she had the non-functioning thumb. And at that point, they said, well, it was probably just something that happened in utero. It was a freak, nothing was wrong. Well, when Taylor was born with the same issue, we knew it was something genetic. And he had a complete genetic workup at University of Colorado by Dr. Manchester, who was, that's who you went to for that kind of thing. And it was not picked up. I can tell you today, with the efforts of people across the country and organizations to enlighten doctors and to spread the word, that doesn't happen like that routinely anymore. But still, there are people that are not diagnosed until they're adults because they don't have the stigmata. Not everyone does, and they maintain their blood counts reasonably well. And so there are 22, I believe, different FA genes. So several of those, and I don't want to misquote, but it's on the sheet there. there are several of those that are breast cancer genes, the BRCA2 on the same gene. So yeah, it wasn't until she went for the surgery and her blood counts were way low. And we can look back at pictures of her then and say, she did kind of look pale. My husband remembered, he remembered at some point after Taylor was born, he was thinking of a disease called Fanconi anemia that he had learned about briefly in medical school. But when he looked it up, there's a Fanconi syndrome, and that's what he looked up. It's a completely different disease, and he ruled out that was an issue. So. Yes.
Let me say, first of all, that my heart goes out to you and your family for all that you guys have endured. And for you to be standing in front of us today, so positive, it's just amazing. And I just want you to know, and I saw a lot of tears in this room this morning, so I think I speak for the entire club when we say we stand behind you.
Thank
the
you.
question that I have is, recently on television, I've seen a commercial for a drug that has to do with FA. And this just came about like in the last 6 weeks or so. Is this the same disease, and is this a drug that is treating? It's all over the TV lately. And like I said, this has just been in the last 4 to 6 weeks, and my husband and I both looked at each other and we said, FA, what's FA?
What is that? I've not seen it, and I am not aware of it. The drug that Kendall and Taylor were on is called oxymethylone, and is actually a male hormone, which is why it was so devastating to Kendall during the teen years. Pros and cons of the drug, it was all we had to keep her alive. We saw it as a gift from God, and she saw it as something else. So I don't know of any drug today. What has happened with research in Fanconi anemia is that it has made huge differences in the transplant outcomes in Fanconi anemia patients. So kids are transplanted, when they're young, and then, this is great. It does not cure the disease, but it cures that aspect of the disease, which is primarily the killer. Some kids get leukemia when they're younger. They didn't know that. Well, as kids now are living into their 20s, 30s, and 40s, that's been remarkable, and that has been because of the research, which has improved transplants. However, now what they're finding is they're getting these cancers, and they can't cure them because it's a DNA repair disease. Their cells are more fragile, and so the treatment for these cancers is killing them. It's killing them. So much of our money, it's sort of the good news and the bad news, because it's a rare disease, orphan disease, and so how do you get people interested in that when there aren't that many kids affected by it? Well, now that this cancer piece has come out, it really is broadly affecting the research in FA is broadly affecting the general population. And most of our money now that we designate is being designated to the cancer research. A lot of head and neck cancers, squamous cell carcinomas, esophageal, genital cancers, leukemia, lymphoma.
How common is that?
I believe, I should know this, but on the sheet, it's like 39, 40 kids born in the United States every year. It's about, I believe, 1 in 200,000 chance. So it took a gene from me and a gene from my husband to come together, and then we had 25% chance with each child for them to have Fanconi anemia. And interestingly enough, Kendall and Taylor matched each other. Their bone marrow, in the bone marrow matching system, they matched each other, but neither of their siblings matched them. And transplants now for with a matched sibling donor, I've heard as high as 98% success.
I put the handouts and invitations back here if you'd like your own copy.
Yeah, I encourage you to take a copy of the informational material, and please, you need to see the Cottrell's invitation back there. So yeah, I invite you to come out. It's a fun event. It's different. It's not a sit-down rubber chicken dinner. It's roving food stations, and we have the utterly crazy cow plop, and it's a Western theme, and we've got boots and booze, slaps and shots, and last year we had Let's Make a Deal, but we're not doing that this year. So yeah, come on out. Reggie Rivers, you'll remember, Old Bronco is our auctioneer, and Tom Green, Channel 9 News, is our MC. So we have about 350 to 400 people.
You're not done yet. So one of the things that we do is we sponsor a elementary school library. This year it's Field Elementary, and what we do is we provide a book plate that is dedicated to you. And so every time a child goes in to check out that book, they'll be able to see the plate and know that you were here. And so this is just a way to honor you. So
That's
this is
really
just
nice.
an example of what we put in there.
Oh, thank you.
And then also we have a drawing. So
you want me to draw?
Yes. So this drawing, they get $10 for half a lunch. That's true.
Okay, 668-4744.
744.
744.
Hey. And then we have a pot of money. So you are good. You can sit down now. There's your coffee.
Thank you.
What's it up to?
It's like 278, I think, somewhere around there.
Oh, great. I get 2 chances.
Yep.
Is that blue?
Thank you.
All right. Shucks. Marbles. Next week. Oh, Tom, please.
Just real quick, in regards to the Hoot and Holler, which is coming up on November 9th. It is a blast. It's great fun to be there. Our team is a silver sponsor. We have 12 tickets as part of that. Hopefully Scott and Rebecca DeWitt are going to be joining us and my team, and we have 2 other tickets. So if I'd love to make that available to the Rotary, I don't know how we're going to sort that out, but if 2 people would like to attend, I'd encourage you to. It's absolutely wonderful, and you can sit at our table, and I promise you'll have a great time. So if you're interested, please let me know. And thanks again, Gene. We really, really appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. All right. So if you could all stand for our 4-way test for all we think, say, or do. Is the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will build goodwill and better friendships? Will be beneficial to all concerned?